It's your homie Blue Shirt Robbie back at it again to give you the top 5 cards that I think you should be picking up pre-Brandish release. And yes, I've been putting a lot of thought into doing more stylistic videos like this and to help my crew out on the best goddamn advice I can give you. So kick back, let's enjoy a nice little segment in which you should probably have some things, whether or not it be to stop the meta or to further your game state, as the cool kids like to say. Let's dig into this, shall we? Brandish format is right around the corner, or Sky Strikers, as the official TCG name. And I want to talk about a few things that I think you should be picking up. Numero uno, one copy of Toon Cyber Dragon. Originally, looking at this, I've mentioned the Toon Table engine multiple times. Now, I know when you're looking at the TCG variant versus the OCG, most people saw the progress in which the OCG had evolved their concept of Brandish and dropped the Toon Table engine and eventually processed into the Foolish Barrel Goods engine with the Metalfoes engine. Now, this is not to say that with Toon Table getting the reprint in the set that you shouldn't have a Toon Cyber Dragon and test the engine with the Chimera Tech. Being able to contact out to further a game state is really good. I'm not sure how the TCG is going to be playing Brandish, whether or not it's through the Invoked build or the Macabre build, but I will say this. We do know for sure that Toon Table is a fantastic engine and is something that can generate this massive pile of advantage. And if your opponent Ash Blossoms your Toon Table, well, sometimes you can kind of work around it. I find the Toon Table engine to be about as dead drawly as the Foolish Barrel Goods engine. I mean, you open up the Heavy Metalfoes or the Metalfoes Fusion, you're just like, sad face. But overall, I think with the Toon Table becoming much more available and better off price in the community, I think having a Toon Cyber Dragon available for the testing of Brandish is going to be one of the best decisions that you as a player can make going forward. So that's number one. I definitely think the Toon Table engine is worth testing out, and I think depending on how the format evolves, we could definitely see a little bit more fun out of it. Now, the next one I wanted to talk about, this one's going to be a much more expensive investment. Winter Cherries and the appropriate targets. So, I've done a lot of talking also about Winter Cherries and how I honestly think at the end of the day, having the appropriate targets is something to kind of stunt advancement. I know I've heard a lot of comments being like, well, you know, Cherries doesn't really hurt Brandish. Yes, it does. Sure, you can have the normal summon off of Ray to toggle out, but typically you'll do it on the Hornet Bit generation. And I will tell you, the amount of times that I've seen Cherries resolve and just shut down Brandish, oh my god, you killed the Fire Chick or Kagari, like, the whole deck just kind of stumbles on itself, and if you resolve the second Cherries and take out the Shizukus, the deck kind of falls on its own ass. And same thing with like the rest of the meta, you know, Double Helix, ABC Dragon Buster, Electromite. You know, there are so many targets in the deck that you can play that it's super easy for you to mess around with and just take full advantage of the situation. You know, stunting the opponent's metagame is what Cherries does. It's a very fantastic metagame choice. It's a little bit more expensive, something to be having around. Having one dedicated card extra deck choices to all of these other decks, but those people that have been playing Cherries and have been having success with it, oh, absolutely. I've heard so many positive things coming from players because of Cherries. It's wonderful, and having a card that just obliterates a matchup, you know, revealing Macabre lol, like, it's so fun. Next one I think you should be having, Effect Veiler. So Effect Veiler is one of those cards that you can Effect Veiler the Isolde, you can Effect Veiler the Double Helix. You know, I've talked about How I've heard people like, well, spirals are supposed to be one of the best decks, but if you hand trap them, they're kind of just stunted in their own advance. One of the things is we're going into one of those formats where if you effect Veiler the Kagari on the re-advancement of their spell card, or if you hit their Shizuku when they need to get to the starter, they're kind of stuck on a desert island. Something as great as that, stunting the opponent's advancement is great. You know, just not allowing them to do what they do. Effect Veiler is fucking fantastic at that denial. And I really like what Veiler also brings to the table. I think it's worth it to have a set of these going around, whether or not you're playing Brandish or you're planning on playing something a little bit more anti-meta, even Altergeist. You know, you have so many hand traps at your disposal that you need to make up your mind just which path you want to go down as a player. And I think all for all, honestly, looking at Effect Veiler as a card, they're a lot cheaper. There's no reason why you shouldn't have them laying around. But as for things going on in today's current format, yeah, you should probably be taking advantage of them, because it's just another fantastic hand trap to have. So next up, I will tell you this. The next two cards we're going to talk about kind of go hand in hand with each other. But one is a little bit worse than the other. Okay, the first one I'm going to be looking at is Share Ride. And Share Ride is going to be something that I've seen as a side deck card. For those of you that don't know, after this card resolves, each time your opponent adds a card from his or her deck or graveyard, keep that in mind, to their hand, except by drawing them, you can immediately draw one card. And of course, you can only activate one Shared Ride per turn. So my first immediate response is, this is a spell card, you're going to have to set it in order to take advantage of it on your opponent's turn. But if you do this on a Kagari, reoccurring back from the graveyard, yeah, you get to draw. Alright, this is one of those cards that, unlike Max C, they can like Max C, they can continue to play and just give you infinite resources as they set up their potential field. Now, you can make an argument here that, hey, you know, my opponent's not going to be completely stupid and continue to play. Sometimes they will, and that's what the next option comes into play. The next one is actually going to be Draw and Lockbird. Now, Draw and Lockbird is a very interesting card, because Draw and Lockbird stops your opponent. It doesn't force them to continue to play the resources. It stunts their turn. My problem with Draw is they're still going to have all those resources in their hand for the next turn, and Brandish doesn't have the ability to OTK. But if you use Draw against something like Goki and you stunt their turn, well, you can kill their combo pieces and continue on with your turn, which honestly makes it a much better choice in, that's right, the Goki matchup. But here's the thing. Killing a field and stopping a mid-combo, Kagari the deck can continue on with its plays. And I think that's one of the really weird things about Draw versus Shared Ride. You can tell which one's better in certain matchups, which is absolutely fine. But multi-purposing cards and things like that, I don't think we're going to go to the extreme in which we're going to see Draw and Shared Ride in multiple side decks. We could. You know, sometimes this community shocks me. But I think both of these are something very much worth having, setting aside. Now, there were some other cards that we're going to give honorable mentions to. Next up, for the honorable mention chart, Twin Twister. Now, I'm assuming that the TCG is going to start heading more towards a Twin Twister-esque format, being able to discard a spell card from your hand to not allow your opponent to have multiple back row and things like that. Yeah, Cosmic Cyclone is fine as a 1-for-1, and sometimes you don't want to discard a card, but it's a Sky Striker format. You know, them having multiple back row sometimes isn't particularly all that good. So keep that in mind. Twin Twisters over Cosmics, I'm feeling. Waking the Dragon, this is another one of those fantastic fuck you cards to the metagame. Also with Waking the Dragons, we're going to also put appropriate targets, you know, Ultimate Falcon, Exterio or Last Warrior from Another Planet. It's kind of just up to you what you want to play as a player. I've seen kind of everybody doing their own thing with Waking the Dragons. It's kind of just codependent on you as a player to kind of make up your mind and your skill making tree for what you want to do with that. But these are all things that I think you should have going forward, or if you have money, you want to spend it right now, pick up your initial core sets of these, get ready to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Over the summer type thing, because no matter how it's going, some of this stuff is for Sky Strikers, some of it's not, just something to consider. So tell me, do you think there's other things players should be picking up down below? Leave a comment. Come on, don't be afraid. I read them. It's good enough. That's all I got for this video, guys. Remember, Blue Robbie is the best damn Robbie at giving advice. Alright guys, peace out. The ride never ends, guys. Make sure you enable those notifications to get the latest videos that are being posted on this channel. Make sure you guys check out VanCole40 for my Cardfight Vanguard channel. And join me and House of Champions on the Zodiac Duelist TV Twitch stream. We'll be interacting with our audiences. And please check out No Limit Gaming and LGTCG.com for the cheapest trading cards on the market. Thanks for watching, guys, and please have a good day.